เคครับ Okay, we are live now. So, welcome everybody to the first session ever of Sontana Samaki. Sontana Samaki is a series of talks curated for the curious-minded, brought to you by Samaki Smakom, the Thai Students Association in the United Kingdom since 1901 under the royal patronage. We will be hosting a variety of talks ranging from law to astronomy, inviting experts in the field to come and give us insightful understandings. My name is Natasit Sirisbhavit, or you may know me as Pom. I'm a Geography Olympiad scholar who has competed at the International Geography Olympiad in Indonesia 2 years ago and is now studying A-levels at Doverbrooks, Oxford. This year, I'm working as an academic officer for Samaki Smakom, and I'm very delighted today to be your moderator. The topic for today's Sontana Samaki talk session is Bangkok, the forever primate city. And what is Primate City, you may ask? Well, we'll discover today. I'm also very delighted to invite a very honorable guest and someone who's very close to me and has taught me 2 years ago. She's just recently got her assistant professor title from the Department of Geography at Chulalongkorn University. อาจารย์ Dr. เพชร Pillai Latanan.
Yes, hello everyone.
I would like you to introduce yourself a little bit, please.
Yes, of course. My name is Pech Pillai Latanan. You can call me Ajahn Pech, so it's shorter. Actually, as Bom says, I taught him 2 years ago, and I graduate from Bachelor in Geography from Department of Geography Chulalongkorn University, and then I took my master degree and PhD at UCL, Department of Geography, UCL. I'm studying about urban geography, so my degree is on urban studies. And then after I graduated, I start working at Chula for 8 years and about 3 months. And now I'm a full-time lecturer at Department of Geography, Chulalongkorn University. I'm still working on around urban study. During my PhD, actually, I'm studying about Bangkok and the relationship between Bangkok and middle class, how the middle class impact or have an influence on urban development in Bangkok. And it's tied a little bit with the political sphere at the time, because during my study, the political issue in Bangkok was not very stable. And then when I came back after I came back to Thailand, and then I shift my study a bit. So I'm still interested in middle class, but I'm working more on smart city, because I think it's quite an interesting point since we have been facing the issue of sustainable world. So the development of smart city. So that's my research central around smart city development and the perception of the people towards smart city. And also I work with Associate Professor Dr. Sri Vilai Thirodanarat on Bangkok, about the urban growth of Bangkok, particularly how Bangkok become a primate city and the situation of Bangkok being a primate city, and also working on the resilient community in Rayong, which I work with my colleagues in Department of Geography. Yeah, so that's about my research and my short bibliography. Yeah.
Wow. You've really come a long way. You've been through really so much throughout your journey. You've done quite a variety of research, you could say, transitioning from just looking at urban discrepancies to now looking into more sustainable smart city proposals. I think that's really interesting. But first of all, let's get started with some ice breaking, shall we? How
Okay.
about we talk about your experience in the UK when you were studying here at UCL? How was experience back then? Because now I'm studying here. I'm sure it's really different from back then. How did it feel like?
If you saw all back then, yes, but actually it's quite a long time. Yes. The experience. So if we talk about life perspective, like living experience, like the experience of staying in London, I think it's quite fun. It's one of the best period of my life that I went to study in London. I think because London is, I would say it's a world city and international city. So you have a chance to experience a variety of culture and arts and exhibitions. That's the good opportunity to staying in London. So you can go to there always an exhibition and you can enjoy many activities in London. Like in winter, I really love it. I love winter in London, particularly during Christmas time. Most people say that Christmas is very lonely in London if you are not the British or the people who actually the residents of the UK. But I see it from different perspective. I like London during the festive time, particularly from November to maybe early January. It's very the festive, like going to Christmas market, and I like the ice skate rink, especially at the Somerset House. It's very beautiful. Winter market, I'm not so sure there's still whether they still have it. Winter Wonderland at Hyde Park.
Yeah, for sure. We'll probably have one soon next, like in one
Yes.
month's time.
Yeah, I love it. I do love it. And I love walking in a market, like weekend market. I'd like it. Yes. Very
I put,
delicious food. Mm, yeah, that's from life. But for studying, I would say the first few years was quite tough for me during for the study because very I'm not familiar with how the study how we do it in Thailand and in the UK that's quite different. I'm not so sure about the new generation nowadays because we in Thailand we adapt our curriculum and how we study quite a bit, but I'm not sure. But at the time, I think it's kind of like a big transition for the first few years, and then after that, it's okay. And I love London more and more. On the first year, I feel like, oh, I really want to go home. But after a few years, I feel like I want to stay there, like keep on studying. But it's impossible, right?
yeah, I can really relate to that. Just being here for just over 1 year now. I can really,
Mm.
so you said you really enjoy life in London. Do you have any particular like places you really like to go to? Like any restaurants you would like to recommend, or any parts of town where you really enjoy the most and would like to recommend?
Restaurant, a lot actually. It's depending on which kind of food you're looking for. Um, One of the, I would say, because I during my study, I stay around Russell Square.
Mm,
So one of my favorite restaurant that's not far from home, at not far from my flat, um, was Ciao Bella. It's very close to Russell Square. Very nice one. I think it's still there, Ciao Bella, a very good Italian restaurant. And mm, if you, but I think I don't have to recommend about Thai restaurant. It may be changed. But if you want the high tea, perhaps. The high tea, the Ritz, it's quite good in terms of atmospheres, just like once, like a lifetime, I would say an experience of a good experience because the room was quite beautiful. And but don't think much about the food, I think. But it's good to go. If you go to the UK, you should experience the high tea. I think so.
Yeah,
And yeah, and Sunday brunch, maybe.
that's true. I agree. I tried afternoon tea only once, and I would say it's a really indulging experience.
Yes. I don't know, maybe for boys, but for girls, it's one way to get dressed and go to your beautiful places.
That's true. That's true. Oh, wow. So really, you've described this essence of a really great and interconnected city.
Mhm.
Why don't we link that to what we are going to talk about today a little bit more? So London, I guess, is a really big city on its own, right?
Mhm.
I would say that the UK economy relies quite a lot on London alone.
Mhm.
If we look at this from a Thai perspective, you can
Mhm.
kind of see like a resemblance of sorts that Bangkok is. Thailand heavily relies on Bangkok on a lot of aspects.
Mhm.
So could you describe a bit more about what is urban primacy and how does Bangkok really relate to this concept?
Yes. If you talk about urban primacy, the urban primacy is, I would say, if you talk about urban
Really relate
primacy,
to this
it
concept?
means that a particular
Yes,
if you
cities
talk
or a
about
particular urban
urban
area.
become significantly larger than other cities in the same nation. So we can say that urban primacy is a situation where a city in a country is significantly larger than others and being a focus point of national development and activities of that particular cities. So synonym, I would say synonym of urban primacy. We call it in urban geography or urban study, we call it primate city, which is um, the status or a character of Bangkok that may more or less the same with London.
I say, so Primate City is essentially a very, very big city that's just standing on its own
Mhm.
in the vast expanses of just countryside, I guess. So
Mhm.
what what has caused Bangkok to become like this? Like,
Become a primate city, right?
yes,
Yes. So the cause of Bangkok becoming a primate city, I would say that um, there there is two main points that cause Bangkok to develop to be a primate city. So the first point, maybe political issue that navigate Bangkok to be a primate city. We believe that the roots of development of primate city in um, Asian countries. So if you look at before I come to that, I would like to go backward a little bit. So most of the primate city in the world located in Asian countries, Africa and Latin America, which is um, the aftermath of colonialism, the development during colonial era, because the colonial once the Western world they conquer um, Latin America, Africa, and Asia, they have the capital city of the colonies, and they put um, technology and development in that particular cities. So if we talk about Thailand, that Thailand is not actually colonies or being colonized by any Western country, but we fall into the same process with other cities in Southeast Asia because during King Rama V, it's the situation of European looking for colonies has been kind of like very tense. So King Rama V tried to avoid the idea of being that the European will say will have the excuse to conquer us. So what he do is he tried to develop a cities. So it has to be Bangkok because Bangkok is the capital cities. And when the Western came, it's kind of like it's the I would say the door to Thailand. So it means that when the Western people came, they just come to Bangkok. So he developed Bangkok. This process emerged in other cities as well. But those colonial cities, the Western, they put investment in the capital city, the capital of the colonies. For Bangkok, we have limited budget. We cannot develop every single cities in Thailand to be modern, to look like the Western city. So that's the beginning of centralized business, technology, transportation, and development in one particular city. So this is the beginning, come from the colonial era. And the development continue. Even though we have developed by connecting a transportation network, by connecting Bangkok to the regional cities, for example, Bangkok to Chiang Mai, the capital of, I would say, regional, the northern region of Thailand, and or Bangkok to Songkhla province or Hat Yai. Oh, it's kind of like connecting, but it's only connected one cities to another, but we cannot afford to pay or invest on infrastructure development to these city all at once. So every single I'm going to say every single penny, kind of like the majority of the budget will come to Bangkok, like invest mainly on Bangkok. This related with the political issues during the colonial era that want to show us that Thailand has been developed and we are modern in the eyes of the Western. And because to develop a city is to be modern, it costs the government to develop an infrastructure. So it leads to the limited sources of development, and it make Bangkok holding as become hold the centrality of every single activities, like business activities, political center, and we have the central government that control the whole of Thailand, centralized governance. So it's urged Bangkok to be even more primate. And with the development that pushed by the political issues, forced by the budget, so it makes Bangkok be a central of business activities and being a center for trading. Don't forget that the port of Thailand located in Bangkok. We have moved international port, not moved, but construct a new port in Rayong for maybe 30, 40 years ago. It's not very long. And this cannot not successfully motivate people to go out there. And it's make Bangkok to be more central and draw the investment from foreign investor to invest in Bangkok and make Bangkok grow faster, bigger, and it caused a job opportunity because of these investment create job opportunity, industrialization, commercialization that occur from the colonial era, having Bangkok as a central for investment. So it means that this act like a magnet for Bangkok to draw people from other provinces to came to Bangkok. Bangkok become bigger and the government need to invest more on infrastructure to facilitate the people and the activities that occur in Bangkok.
Wow, so what I get from this is that there has been this coupling and like exponential effect of just infrastructure, more people, more investment, then more infrastructure, more people, more investment, and then it just goes on as a vicious cycle. That's so. It's like if the question becomes like, could we really escape this as Bangkokers? Like, is there any solution to this?
To reduce the primacy of Bangkok, am I right? Am I understand you?
Yeah.
Right? Yes. Okay. So, there might be a solution. There might be. Actually, the government of Thailand, we know about Bangkok being too big in like simpler term. So the government tried to reduce the primacy of Bangkok by insert the idea of Bangkok. How are they going to decentralize? I should use this word, decentralize Bangkok. Because in around 1967, the primacy rate of Bangkok reached the highest mark, which is approximately 32 times, comparing with the second largest cities of Thailand at the time, that was Chiang Mai in 1967. But nowadays, and at the time, we think, not we, our government think, okay, we need to, how are we going to reduce the primacy of Bangkok? So Thailand, the government have the policy and strategy to handling Bangkok primacy. We have the National Economic and Social Development Council, previously known as the National Economic Council, and it's the National Economic and Social Development Board. So in the earlier period, this NESDC, or the National Economic and Social Development Council, they function as the central body responsible for formulating, proposing, and monitoring Thailand's national economic and social development plan. So the plan start to input about the idea of the government that they want to reduce the primacy of Bangkok, which start from the third national plan in 1972. And then from the third plan, the government have continue policies to reduce the centralization of Bangkok and the primacy of Bangkok in this plan, because when Thai government working, the NESDC plan, this planning, the National Economic and Social Development Plan, it's the big picture to control the policies of the nation, of the government. So we have those policies, and the idea is to reduce the primacy of Bangkok, and that's the beginning from the third plan, and we continue to do that. So how the government think that, okay, we are going to add or decentralize Bangkok? They think about developing other cities. One of the idea is to spread some activities or cut off some activities, major activities, trading activity, industrial activities out of Bangkok. Eastern Seaboard, ESB, the Eastern Seaboard, the old name of the EEC. It's one of the project that related to reducing primacy of Bangkok. On the one hand, Eastern Seaboard is to aim to support economic development in 60s and 90s to urge in direct investment from the Western. And at that time, I would say Southeast Asian countries compete to be global cities. And we, Thailand, we want to be one of that. So to be a global cities, we need a corridor, we need an infrastructure to support the logistic activities, industrial activities, economic activities, particularly industry and transportation, which is related to the logistic. So the government established Eastern Seaboard, focusing the development in 3 provinces in the eastern part of Thailand, and support. They aim that this will support the economic expansion as well as reduce the centrality of Bangkok. Unfortunately, the Eastern Seaboard was strengthened the primacy of Bangkok, because Eastern Seaboard function as, I would say, an industrial city or the port city for Bangkok, but the financial and commercial center still located in Bangkok. So it means that the idea of the government of trying to reduce the primacy of Bangkok has not yet successful. However, we also have the idea of developing the second city or the regional cities in the big provinces like Nakhon Ratchasima for northeastern Thailand, Chiang Mai for northern Thailand, Songkhla and Phuket as kind of like the second city, or I would say the center of the regional part of Thailand. So even though government is not yet succeed in making Thailand not to have a primate city, but the primacy rate of Bangkok has continually declined. In 1967, Bangkok is 32 times bigger than second largest cities. But in 2019, the primacy of Bangkok reduced. Bangkok is only 5 times bigger than the next largest cities, which is Chonburi. So it's maybe the idea of the government is somehow on its way. So perhaps one day we might have we might be able to stop Bangkok to being a primate city, perhaps.
I see. So there are possible solutions to this growing problem, but what if you look at a more individual scale? Like, how has life felt like for the average Bangkoker or the average person in the country? Like, how how is their life? How's their life like folding out in a nation where only one city is primate? Like, how is their life like different from each other?
Ah, okay. So if you talk about the life of the people, um, this is we I would say that they might different in some perspective, but not in all perspective. So to answer this question, I would like to share the slide so you all can see the picture of how um, the life of the people in Primate City or the others is not maybe a little bit different or maybe not. So actually this one I'm working, as I told you earlier at the very beginning of our talk, that I work with Associate Professor Dr. Siri Vilai Thirarodanarat, and we study on urban primacy of Bangkok, which is focusing on comparing the two scenarios between having Bangkok as a primate city of Thailand and if we don't have primate city at all, how the life or how differences it can be for cities across Thailand. So to compare that, we use four types of dimension. We look at social, physical, economic, and demographic. For social, we use the HAI indicator. Physical, we look at urban area. Economic, we look at the GPP and GPP per capita. And for the demographic, we look at the urban population. So from the comparison of between the two scenario, you will see that from this table, the first this row, the above row, they shows the data that we compare with the level of correlation between built-up area. So we use built-up area to be the central or the center of the comparison with others factor, the four factor that I have mentioned. And then the results of the correlation turn out to be as shown in the table. So before excluding Bangkok data, so it means that this row is the data of having a primate city. Excluding Bangkok data, so means that this we don't have primate city including in Thailand, in Thai cities, sorry. And we look at the correlation between built-up area and urban population. So this is the demographic term. With Bangkok, so we have in this scenario with Bangkok, with the primate city, there's moderate correlation, but this one is urban population is weak comparing to the built-up area. So to summarize this table, and from this study, it shows that from the economic perspective, we look at the GPP and GPP per capita, the economic growth of a province in the increase of urbanization of a province results in expansion of the urban area. It's and the primacy might be slightly different. For the urban primacy, they in theory, we talk about urban primacy always tie with the uneven development. That link back to your question that how's the life of the people in urban primate the city, a primate city itself and others, how is it different? Is it the same or is it quite different? So if we look at these data, we will assume or have an assumption that they definitely have an uneven development. And this uneven development manipulate our idea because it's indicated by the economy and the migration of the people from rural to urban area, and also financial activities and the distribution of city size and the GDP. But in Bangkok, if we include the HAI, for HAI, I talk a little bit about HAI in case some of you don't know HAI. HAI stand for Human Achievement Index. So this HAI was first established by the United Nations Development Program. Thailand currently use this one, which is a good index. It's more or less the same with HDI. And it indicate the quality of the social, it's the social, to tell the social index of the people, like, because it's comprised from health, education, work life, income, housing and environment, family, community of life, and transportation and participation by the people. So you will see that there is no, if you look at the comparison with or without Bangkok, in Thailand, our cities, in terms of social factors, they do not display an uneven development in terms of human development, which is related to education, quality of life. But this is the data that we calculated from statistic methods. But if you actually go to talk to people who live in Bangkok, people who live in Chiang Mai, or people who live in other provinces, like small province, maybe Nan province or Singburi or Lopburi, they might say different thing because the perspective of people and the demographic, sorry, or statistic sometimes reflect different things. I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, I see. So, based on the study you did with Ajahn Siri Vilai, you concluded that there is, well, statistically, there's really practically no difference in HAI or the Human Achievement Index. But realistically, when you go on the grounds and ask really people, like, you can really see the differences, right? So it might be just a matter of statistics, maybe.
Maybe, and maybe not, because I didn't actually collect the data on ground. Maybe people is happy as they are, right? Because sometimes as scholars or a researcher, we perceive differently from the local people. If you go to some, I don't know, even in provinces or same scale of the cities, they might answer different thing. It's depend on their expectation of and the meaning of the quality of life in their mind. But if you look at the Thai people, if you look basically, the basic factor, I would give the example of medical access to hospital, comparing to even like developed country. The situation of COVID-19 shows something in our healthcare system. We blame a lot about our healthcare system, that it's not good, it's too expensive. But during the COVID-19, I think we have to accept that we can manage it well. People can get medicine, access to the basic care that they should have. But again, I'm not so sure whether during the pandemic and the normal situation will it be the same. But we cannot deny that the quality of medical care in Thailand may be different if you go to the private hospital comparing to public hospital.
That's true. That's another perspective to look at it, that the basic level of HAI is really just, it's really on a acceptable level across the country. But then I guess as you get into Bangkok or the urban places, then there might be opportunities for premium services that could be contrasted as better, and subsequently saying that the adequate or basic level is worse in other, yes.
Yeah.
So moving, like adding on from all that, could do you think that we could develop regional centers which mimic Bangkok's growth in a positive way, not intending to create other primate cities, despite the fact that we still have Bangkok's shadow upon all of this?
This is a very good question that I think we creating a replacement of Bangkok in my own idea. I think replacement of Bangkok is impossible because Bangkok become too big in terms of the population, urban area. But if you want to reduce the primacy of Bangkok, it's the evidence show that what the government has been doing since the 70s seems to work. At least it's reduced the primacy of Bangkok. And at one point, maybe Bangkok will no longer be a primate city. Back to your question, whether we will be able to develop the regional cities to be maybe equal or nearly the same with quality of Bangkok in terms of infrastructure, economic development. I think it's possible, but it's the outcome might not turn to be exactly the same with Bangkok, and I hope it will not, because the example Bangkok is not a good example of being a primate city, because we developed to be very big. Actually, it's too big, and it's carrying not only being a center of the development, but carrying come with being a center of development is a city problem that occur in Bangkok. The city is too big, and we have a traffic congestion, heavy traffic congestion that we cannot solve. We have the trouble of flooding, urban flood, heavier every year. This year may be slightly better, which I'm glad. And so we have to think about if we are going to reduce the primacy of Bangkok. That is definitely a good idea, because it means that people don't have to move from other region of Thailand to Bangkok, but they just moved to perhaps in the northern part of Thailand, they just moved to Chiang Mai, and then northeastern part where we may have two provinces for Nakhon Ratchasima and Udon Thani, maybe two hubs, and then for the southern part, Songkhla, Hat Yai, or Phuket, that's might be a good cities to develop as second cities to be equivalent or close to Bangkok. But we have to be careful on how are we going to develop those cities and avoid the same mistake that has already happened in Bangkok. If you look at the news this year, Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai has a flash flood. I didn't study deep on that problem. It's not my expert, but anyway, I'm look at it and I have a question in my head that is it because we expand Chiang Mai too fast? Have we missed something about irrigation system, the location of the development that might obstruct a floodway or too little, not enough irrigation system to drain water out of the city in time? We have to think about it. If we want to decentralize Bangkok, we should also think about the second city that we are going to develop to be a second cities or a regional cities for each region, not to repeat the same mistake of Bangkok development. But definitely, I think it will lift up the quality of life and the income of the people in those regions.
I agree that creating more regional urban areas could really ease up the overpopulation of Bangkok probably as well, right? Because I've also heard a lot of stories from other case studies from around the world. For example, Myanmar, our neighboring country, they built a new capital in Naypyidaw, and practically no one lives there for reasons. And Indonesia, our neighbor as well, they're trying to build a new capital at Nusantara, but it looks like the project is failing, and Jakarta is still really overpopulated and is still sinking. So it's probably out of the question that we're gonna build a new capital, right? That's just too radical and too unrealistic.
Yeah, I think it's quite difficult because what the most difficult is the trust and the trust of the people, foreigner, the trust of the investor, both foreigner and the locals, and the massive budget that the government have to invest on a new capital. I think actually we already have the discussion about moving our capital city to other province. And every time it has become a discussion and then fade away, even though we are worrying about Bangkok, because not only Jakarta that is now a sinking city, but Bangkok as well. We are facing almost the same problem with Jakarta, that our city is sinking, but we are not yet moving anywhere and we don't want to move, or it's difficult to move. I think this is the question that we need to think about. How are we going to motivate people to move from the capital city, the current capital cities, to a new capital city? Is it worth for the government to invest? If we invest on constructing a new cities, would it be worth to do it if the private sector do not follows?
that's true. And the private sector trusting and moving along as the project also requires the workforce to follow as well, right? And that really just depends on the personal views and attachment of place to the current capital, which is just, I guess, really strong. A lot of people call it home, probably 10 million people, and many, many immigrants that, yeah, they just call it a really great workplace.
Yes, that's really true. And I think that the typical Asian, I don't know, Asian culture, we don't like to moving around. We kind of like attach to a place, to the location that we actually lived on, which is unlike in the Western world, particularly in the US. They can move around following their job. If they move the job, they can change to move to another city. But in Thailand, it would be very difficult. Don't talk about others. Thinking about myself. I born in Bangkok and I prefer to be in Bangkok. So I don't want to move anywhere. So I think it's, or even in Bangkok itself, the people who live in the central, in the inner city of Bangkok, they don't want to move, even though the quality of life may not as good as it should be. Because you talk about urban primacy of Bangkok, the quality of life that might be better than others, but it's, if you look closely into Bangkok, in a primate city like Bangkok, there is an not only created an uneven development or uneven or inequality amongst people who live in primate city like Bangkok and other cities, but also creating an inequality among the people who live in a primate city itself.
I see. It's really insightful, but what if we move on to look? We've talked a bit about the past, the present, and what if now we look at the future of a a non-primate Bangkok? What would that look like? What if urban primacy never even existed in Bangkok? And that's a really big asterisk. It's a very, very big what if
Uh-huh.
question to ask.
Um, in my viewpoint, it might be more or less, more or less the same in terms of environment, but the size of the city will be smaller, maybe much smaller, maybe half a size or of the current urban area nowadays, or half population living in Bangkok, but it's spreading to other cities. But the element or the structure, pattern, morphology of Bangkok, I suppose it should look more or less the same. Why is that? Look at the cities in, for example, Australia. In Australia, they don't have primate city. Look at Sydney and Melbourne. They're not that much different. They have facilities, or the city in the US, they don't, US don't have primate city. In LA and New York, a big city, and they developed to be very modern, have a facility like we have today, but maybe slightly smaller in terms of urban area size. But and then we would see the difference not in Bangkok, but maybe from in other provinces that may be more developed and more modern. That's my point of view. Yes.
Wow, I see. It's really great. So really, it's just Bangkok might get a bit smaller, and we'd see more even distribution of urban populations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think that's a. Would you like to say any more things, Ajahn Pet?
About
Um,
Bangkok.
yeah, about this topic overall. Like, how do you feel about it? Like, what any personal feelings or connections to the topic?
Ah, primates, about the primate. If not, was never be a primate, Bangkok never be a primate city. I think, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like, do you
Uh,
want it to be like that?
um, I think if Bangkok was never be a primate city, it might so if we look a little bit closer, so it means that if Bangkok is no longer a primate city, or maybe it's not access, so the inequalities between um inequality or uneven development, inequality between people who live in Bangkok or in other places, the gap between um inequality and those uneven development may be reduced, and it will make give an opportunity for people in other regions of Thailand to have a higher income and have a better access to infrastructure provided by the government.
I see. Oh, that's great. And I think that might be a good time to wrap this up, don't you think?
Yeah.
I think right now let's pass the mic on to the audience joining us today. I'll just look in YouTube and Instagram live and see any questions. We've got some. I think we've got time for a little bit. So first question I've got here is
Mhm.
the underlying assumption is that we should move towards the elimination of Bangkok's primacy. But could you please explain more as to what is so negative about the primacy of a city?
Okay, so um, the negative of being a primate city, um, for the primate city itself, first point, first angle, for the primate city itself, the negative um, is it would be overcrowded in a primate city itself, overcrowded in terms of urban population. Because if Bangkok, no, if a city is a primate city, it means that it will draw people to move into that particular cities. And when people keep moving into that particular cities, it will create the expansion of the city endlessly. Expansion in terms of urban area, because you have more population, and the population need a residential area. They need a home to stay. And it means that the size of the cities may need to keep on expanding. Um, and it will take the agriculture area, the rural area nearby a city. Once the city keep expanding and we take those green space or the rural area into the premises of urban area, it means that you will lose green space. Back to the idea of climate change, because we have less green space, more concrete floor, hot, create a higher temperature to the earth. And it also takes the surrounded area, a green space, agricultural land means you have less food production land. So it will lead to perhaps a food crisis for the people who live in the city. That's one negative point. And another negative point to the city itself is the government need to invest more on infrastructure like electricities, water supply, transportation services for the people. A services for 10 people and a services for 100 people definitely take a different scale. So it means that the government will have to focus on investing on the group, on these particular cities. And then it will create an uneven development if the government put money on Bangkok. How about other cities? We don't have that much money to spare for every single city. Is that another issue? And also the primate city will create a segregation between the primate city itself and the other cities in the country, that there is an uneven development. The gap between the development will be even higher, that the best amenity, the best infrastructure will heavily invest on primate city, and others, the money for others cities development may be reduced. But actually they are more, but I think this are the main issue for the negative point of being a primate city, let alone my other minor problem like urban poor in a primate city, or traffic congestion in a primate city, low quality of life in a primate city. And if you want to, you may say that then we can limit the expansion of urban area for primate city. The result will be the increasing of land price in that particular cities. Like in London, we have the British government, they have green belt surrounding London, but it means that it's block the expansion of London. So the land price in London, especially Zone 1, is very high. So that's the negative point or negative effect of a primate city.
There's another question here. You've mentioned colonial legacies as one of the explanations for Bangkok's primacy. Have there been similar cases in other former colonial countries? If so, great. If not, why? Moreover, what explains the lack of such primacy in Western countries?
Okay. So the colonial legacy and a primate city, Jakarta is a good example that they're facing the same experience with Bangkok, but different in terms of Jakarta was colonized, or that's one cities in Southeast Asia, Jakarta, very, very, I would say very similar to Bangkok, or Yangon in Myanmar. Actually, it used to be capital city. It's no longer a capital city now, but Yangon is also a primate city. And Philippines, Manila can also represent as the same case with Bangkok. And lack of primate city, the second question, lack of primate city in Western country. If you look, I put this map on because it shows which countries have or have not, haven't had a primate city. you see that some of the Western country also have a primate city, like London or Paris, in France, in the UK. I think this is because the development in those Western city, that they go through the development along the way, go together, like the government developed. Okay, I think this one is a good example, America. So for the US, the group of people who developed US cities were European, and they developed in several cities at the same time. And those was merchant or who wants to discover the new world, who moved to America and then develop a city. So they do not need to put money or focusing on one particular cities to serve the need of the colonies or the government, like the colonial cities. Yes, I think that I'm not sure if you need more explanation.
Yeah, I think that's a great explanation. Like, really, it explains a lot from the map. Like, very high densities of primacy are largely situated where there were colonialism, right? But then there's also the fact that some European countries are not like exclusively don't have primate cities. They do, like London, for example.
Yes.
I think that's a great map, great explanation as well. I think we can do like one or two more questions. Does it matter where the official capital is? What is the rationale then for South Africa having three capital cities? Are there any lessons we can learn from such a model?
I'm not sure I understand this question right, but if you ask about does it matter where the official capital city is, that related to being a primate city or holding an urban primacy? I think it doesn't matter that much, but it usually the capital city is a primate city because it's the center of activities for a country, holding the role of governing city, center of the government. And if you look closely, you see that the country with a primate city usually have a governing system like a central government rather than a federal state like the US, mostly, but I didn't say all. And about the rational in South Africa having three capital cities. I don't clear about this question.
I think it's more like that South Africa has three capitals, and it kind of is like they have three cities which are larger
A
than.
capital city that larger than the other cities.
So could Bangkok or could Thailand possibly like adapt something like that, I guess? Like have more another capital instead of a new capital, I guess.
Okay. So it to have, might be might be possible to have. It's depend on how the government strategy or the planning of the government in developed a city or cities in Thailand to be a capital city and have more than one capital city, and each capital cities may act or hold a different role of being a central in particular activities, maybe like governing cities, one capital, and trading and commercial, another capital. It is possible, but I think for the question that is there any lesson we can learn from such a model, um, I think we need to look closely on the environment or the background of that particular country comparing to Thailand. Since we actually study cities from theories from the West. So there was a question, how are we going to theorize a city from a global south to be able to explain the development in south in global south cities? But I think deeper than that is the culture and the governing system of that particular country, whether we will be able to apply that idea to Bangkok or to Thailand and to have more than one capital city. I didn't say that it is impossible because I don't dare to say that. But it is something that we can think about whether it is possible. But I think the difference between South Africa and Bangkok, the majority is the environment or the culture that we have is different from South Africa.
I see. So really, just to recap that, it's basically just that different environments would require different understandings and different ways to look at just thinking about developing capitals, right?
Yes.
I think a final question, personally, from me is linking back to our whole conversation.
Mhm.
To sum up, really, why forever? Why do you think that Bangkok can never escape this primate city cycle, in your opinion?
Um, why? I think it's personally, I look at it in two. The first reason, first of all, I think it's quite difficult to construct a city in Thailand to compete Bangkok. Bangkok has been the biggest cities in Thailand and being a capital city in Thailand for nearly like nearly 300 years. So it's 250 something. So I think that's one point. And it would be the government would have to spend a lot of money to develop other cities to be comparable or compete with Bangkok. And the image of Bangkok of being the central, not only a capital, but the central city of Thailand in every aspect. If you want to come to travel to Thailand, you came to Bangkok first. So the Bangkok was the first rank of most visited cities for the past 2 years. And it's a face of Thailand. And we cannot deny that the idea of solving the problem in Bangkok, particularly traffic congestion And by providing more public transportation, particularly the BTS and the MRT, I think it will encourage the expansion of the city of Bangkok through its vicinity area, the surrounded provinces of Bangkok, that it will urge more development. And if you look at this map, this one I took it from a paper of from Associate Professor Siri Vilai. So you see that in the purple color or the magenta, it's a built-up area. Look at this picture and you see this is number one. This is Bangkok and its 5 vicinity areas, the provinces. The built-up area is very big comparing to other parts of Thailand. This is Chiang Mai, Nakhon Ratchasima, very little. So how are these cities will be able to speed up to catch up with Bangkok within a decade or two? But I think it'll take longer to do that unless the global warming is turn out to be very bad until we have to move our capital city because of the sea level rise. That would be another story.
That might be a topic for another day. But thank you very much, Kap Ajahn Pit, for this very interesting discussion today. Really, it's really been a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you for your time and coming to our Sontana Samaki session. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And I hope you enjoy the talk and get knowledge of things from this talk.
Thank you very much. I hope the audience really enjoyed that as well. We will actually be having a summary of the talk today, and we'll just be saying some things about the main points of what we actually discussed today, and that'll be posted later on all our social media as soon as possible. But before we go, I would actually like to announce the next live session of Sontana Samaki. Drumroll. It's about Thai astronomers and the search for new worlds, exploring exoplanets. Because have you ever wondered how Thai astronomers are uncovering distant worlds beyond our solar system? Well, I hope you do, because you should join us for our fascinating discussion on the cutting-edge research, discoveries, and future of exoplanet exploration led by Thai astronomer Dr. Supachai Avipan and our lovely moderator P. Grace Paunisra Nutwanichagun. We will be back again for the next session of Sontana Samaki on the 12th of November at 9 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, which is about 4 p.m. in Thailand. Join us next time for how Thai astronomers are expanding our view of the cosmos. See you next time.